What's going on, everybody? My name is Cilantro, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about a few ways you can try to make some money in ArcheAge. There's no doubt that money is important in just about any game you play out there, especially MMOs, and it can be a little tough to get some good income coming in ArcheAge, but I have a few little things that I will show you that will hopefully make that a little bit easier. Just hanging out here in Lutzong Harbor, enjoying the view as I levitate above this bridge next to apparently 3 people named North Ishvaran Citizen. Why would you do that to your kid? I'm going to name my child North Ishvaran Citizen. No, thank you. Anyway, you can see there's a bunch of people out here fishing, which is always a great way to make money. I already have a fishing guide and a trade pack guide. I'll be doing some slightly more advanced versions of guides of those in the future to talk more focused, show more focused ways to make money using those professions. But I wanted to talk about wild harvesting, farming, and a few other things to help make money. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on my mount and head out into the wilderness, and we'll talk from there. So, wild harvesting is what I've termed the process of just going around and looking for, well, wild plants and harvesting them. A lot of the plants and trees you'll see in ArcheAge are not interactable, therefore they are just part of the decoration, but you'll occasionally find some trees and plants, like for example this lily right here and this lily right here, that are interactable. You can go up and harvest them or uproot them or do what you will. The nice thing about this form of making money is that it doesn't require any effort on your part in terms of getting it started. All you have to do is actually go out and find the wild plants themselves and dig them up. You can even, if you really want to, you can uproot some of the plants even if they're not done growing. There's a chance that you'll get their seeds back. Let's see if I can maybe get a message here popping up. Okay, so I don't think I actually got anything from that, but it is possible. You can get the seeds from plants, you can get saplings from trees. I think it works a lot better if you have a much higher skill level than just being at the sort of baseline skill. But until you sort of get a feel for where you can and should be wild harvesting, you're just going to have to just go around and look. You know, sometimes you'll have some days where there's nothing much around, and other times you'll find a bunch of stuff that hasn't been touched. I found that some of the mid-level zones for leveling have some of the best wild harvesting options available. Even the lower level areas may have some. Different zones have different items and such, but I mean, hey, we just found a maple tree here. Not too bad. We're going to chop that down. Yeah, we've got 4 lilies and a couple logs. I don't know exactly how much I've gotten from those logs yet, but because I already had some. But yeah, just looking around the countryside, mousing over any trees that you see, you can find a lot of stuff. Just you have to understand that the different spawn locations for the trees and plants are actually static. So if you find a place where a tree spawns, like for example this maple right here, a maple will always spawn there if they are there. You know, there may be a time when they get chopped before another sapling randomly shows up. But once you've farmed out a zone a few times, you'll start to learn where the more valuable different places are to actually earn stuff. Another part about the whole wild harvesting concept is mining. Mining is sort of the bog standard, you know, pretty much every MMO out there has the ability to mine, and this game is no different. You'll only ever find iron nodes out there, and oh hey, we got some turmeric. Turmeric's actually pretty valuable. Let's see how much we get. It's gonna cost me 2 labor. I got 3 turmeric. Not too bad. Pretty sure turmeric sells for, I don't know, 10 silver each maybe, so that's not bad. But anyway, mining definitely part of this game, just as any other ones. You'll only ever find iron veins after you have mined up the vein itself. There is a small chance that it will leave a Fortuna vein behind it. The Fortuna vein gives you some of the sort of more rare and valuable drops from mining. On my server, iron itself is pretty cheap. Pretty much nobody really uses a lot of iron, so the iron itself is relatively inexpensive. But, oh, hey, Narcissus. Look at that. But the stone that you get from mining is quite valuable. Stone is used for hereafter stones, the primary form of transportation for teleporting around the world. Using your teleport book requires hereafter stones, so those are always in demand. And in addition, I mean, just about every house out there, and people are still building houses, also requires stone. So, keeping an eye out for iron nodes whenever you're out and about, and even finding some certain areas where there are a plethora of them can certainly earn you a lot of money. Just off the top of my head, if you're east, you can go to Glitterstone Mine. There's a ton of nodes there. In Solus here, down around Halo Hollow, around this area, a bunch of iron nodes there. And I mean, a lot of zones just have them scattered throughout. Rookborn Basin, which is where our housing is, lots and lots of iron nodes spread out throughout there. And not very often any competition there either. I may make some videos showing off some specific mining routes in less frequented places at some point, because I feel like that would be something that would be a little bit more helpful than just say, hey, go mining. But even if you have competition in these areas, you'll still be able to make a decent amount of money. Hey, look at that, even some azaleas. So as you can see, I mean, this is just me just going around finding wild harvests that have been, just randomly spawned. And actually, while you're leveling, if you're still in the leveling process from 1 to 50, this is also another way to get a little bit of extra XP. Spend your labor. It's totally worth the labor investment. Absolutely. I mean, labor is usually going to be your biggest bottleneck for money acquisition in this game. And actually, I'll talk a little bit about optimizing that towards the end of this video. But you need labor to make money in this game. And actually, along those lines, really one of the most fundamental ways to invest in your character is to get patron status. Now, this game, some people would argue that it's pay to win. I feel like it's more pay for opportunity or pay for convenience, more than just strictly, opening your wallet and suddenly you win the game. But patron status is invaluable when it comes to earning money. It'll cost you a decent amount. I think on my server right now, Apex are going for something like 80 or 90 gold, so you need 2 of those, so it's about 160 gold to get patron status, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's quite a sum of money. That is a lot of cash. But it's not unobtainable. It's not an unobtainable amount of money. If you just save up, make sure you don't really spend any money on anything. Continue to farm, use the tips that I've shown off in this video, do trade runs, do what you can. Getting patron status will help increase your earning potential quite a bit. The amount of labor you get alone in the course of a month of having patron, it's something like, I think, 43,200 labor you'll earn over the course of a month where you're a patron. That's insane. I mean, that is a large amount of labor to be earned. And if you value your time and money as much as I do, if you're playing this game, even and especially if you don't play this game like every day or very often, the amount of labor generation that you'll get from just being offline is absurd. You'll always have labor to use. So I highly recommend it. And the other interesting thing about the other benefits of patron status, you get 5 loyalty tokens per day whenever you log in. Even if you don't have a lot of time to play each day, if you just pop in once a day, you get 5 loyalty tokens. So over the course of a month of being a patron, you'll end up with, I guess it'd be 150 loyalty tokens. And if you go to the marketplace, you can see over here, these explorers chests are worth buying. You'll get not only just actual raw gold, but you also get crafting materials that are very valuable. Draughts of Forgiveness, companion crusts, those usually sell for quite the sum on the auction house. So even just using your loyalty tokens to buy those materials and then selling them on the auction house, that alone will help you pay for patron. Not to mention the tens of thousands of labor points that you'll actually get just for being a patron. So definitely a great way to increase your earning potential if you're not already in the patron club, so to speak. So as you've seen, I've just been sort of sitting here idly, and oh, wait, look at that, Iron Vein. I've been sort of sitting here idly, running around the countryside, finding a number of wild spawns. I've gotten a number of logs. Kind of wish I had, dropped these off in my bank before I went out and did. Hey, actually, look at that. Couldn't have planned that better. There's one of those Fortuna veins I was talking about. So I didn't actually get any stone this time around, I don't think. But, hey, 3 silver ore. Not bad. So make sure when you're mining, make sure when you swing your pickaxe and the first vein goes, wait for a second, because those Fortuna veins spawn afterwards, and I would hate to hear from you guys that you've been missing out on those, because that's where the real money is. It does take a little bit more labor to harvest the Fortuna veins, but definitely worth it. Most definitely worth it. Yeah, these old trees only give like 2 or 3 logs, but still better than nothing. And there's a number of them. I believe they're actually sort of part of a quest line in this zone, but still actually quite worth it. Ooh, hey, wild ginseng. Occasionally you'll also find some things that are labeled as like wild. There are some rare events that you can get from these seeds that allow you to earn some seeds that you normally wouldn't actually be able to get. So, wow. What? Okay, this is actually, today I learned, I guess. I thought this was a different type of spawn. So you'll occasionally find like wilted flowers and things along those lines, but holy crap, I honestly had no idea that these existed. That's crazy. I'm actually flabbergasted. So, I guess I can learn from my own tutorials, I guess. Wild ginseng. That's crazy. I have to check for those on auction. That's ridiculous. I bet you those would sell really well on auction. Probably just end up hanging on to them, though. I mean, 20,000 health instantly. That's pretty good. But yeah, even just going through here, like I said, finding, you know, odds and ends of plants. I've made a decent amount of cash just in the course of this little segment of this video. You know, not all these plants are ultra valuable, but the ones that are will definitely sell. Selling things in small bundles on auction can definitely move them more quickly. One of the things that a lot of people will do on auction is they'll just list huge amounts of things, which is fine. Some people like to buy and sell in bulk, but a lot of times when somebody's looking just for a few of something, just a small handful to, you know, complete a craft or something, they'll even be willing to pay more per item than the sort of current going price. Like say only people are only selling in stacks of 1,000, okay, and the price is 5 silver per, okay. I don't know if anybody who only needs like 10 of them is going to want to buy 1,000. So if you list some for 1,000, or sorry, if you list some for like 6 silver or 7 silver, but a smaller group, it's likely that those will actually sell at a higher premium. So selling in bulk, certainly a good way to make money, but selling in smaller amounts is definitely another viable way to make cash. In fact, just to prove the point here, one of the easiest things you can do when you're looking to sell something is do a reverse search on it. Click on materials when you open your folio by hitting O, type in mint, and now you can see exactly how many are needed for different crafting results. So like for example, 100 mint needed for this trade pack, 40 used for this, 30 used for this. So by saving those items up and selling those in that quantity, or even just in portions of that quantity, it'll make those auctions significantly more appealing for people to actually purchase. At least that's the way I look at it. I mean, you know, if you just want to throw them up there for however much, that's totally fine. Certainly a viable way to do it. But anyway, that's all I really had to say about wild harvesting. Next thing I wanted to talk about was farming, as in farming monsters. So I will head off to one of my favorite farm spots and see you guys in a minute. Alright, so here I am in Rookborn Basin, one of my favorite AoE farming spots. And hey, look at that, there's a cypress tree sitting here waiting for me. How nice of it. Now, mob farming basically consists of course, just killing monsters over and over again. It was a little grindy, but, you know, you can always watch some movies or something. Hey, some Iron Veins, too. You know, Netflix or whatever you want to do. I don't know. Whatever you feel like doing to spend your time while you're just idly killing things. You should be trying to focus on killing monsters that are at least level 41. 41 is the cutoff for the best coin purse. The coin purses are really what you're after. I'm sure if you've been playing this game, you've seen monsters drop coin purses. They're actually quite a good way to spend your labor and earn money. The crafting materials you get from them are particularly valuable. Very, very valuable. Now, you don't have to AoE grind them. I choose to because I am an Archmaster. I have access to all the different classes, so I like to mess around with different AoE specs. If your damage potential is a lot better single target, that's fine too. You can still make plenty of money that way. It does take a little while to open the coin purses, of course, but another nice thing you can do is save up your coin purses if you wish, and open them all at once when you're on different jobs that you've not leveled yet. That'll give you a chance to earn a little bit of bonus XP for various trees that you may not have quite finished off yet. But just trying out my new little AoE spec here. Seems to be working okay so far. I've experimented with a number of different trees. Pretty much every time I come out farming, I do something a little different just to mix it up. And there you go. Kill a couple mobs. Looks like I actually didn't get any coin purses that time, but that's okay. It happens. You're usually likely to get a decent amount of them, but it doesn't always happen. Rookborn is sort of the first zone. The lower end of Rookborn is where you'll start seeing level 41s. Again, they are the lowest level you can get the best coin purses from, so I highly recommend them. As you can see, this is a pretty well-known fact, is there's a decent amount of competition here, so it's not like I'm going to be able to just sit here and free farm this location, unfortunately. But that's okay. Even with competition, it's a pretty darn good way to make some money. I honestly think there's nothing wrong with using this as a way to earn some extra cash. Just be careful if you are in a specialty AoE spec like I am, that you are going to be likely extremely vulnerable to being ganked. Just part of the game. In fact, I ran into a guild that's kill on sight to us a little bit ago and had gotten into a couple fights before I started recording this. But you can even go into Windscour Savannah, especially the northern end. There are a lot of mob spawns there, and there may not be very much competition. I believe those mobs are all level 42, so not really a huge difference between those. You'll have to look around and find your own places. If you are single target focused, I can encourage you to go after elite mobs, the ones with a little star next to their name with a larger quantity of hit points. You can find them especially down here. There's a bunch of giants that spawn around the south end of Rookborn. Those are also heavily camped, but the elite mobs are always going to drop you a coin purse. Every single time you kill them, you'll get a coin purse. So you don't have to worry so much about inconsistencies arising from not getting drops every time you kill something. So that's kind of nice. I mean, you know, consistency is really what we're looking after here, for sure. Because you want to maximize your earning potential, as it were. There we go. Learned a little bit about my ability. We probably should make sure it actually hits everybody. It seems like it would be something that would be useful. Hey, look at that. We finally got a couple coin purses here. So I'll just go ahead and open them and see what I get. I've not really had a lot of time to actually practice farming and really truly figure out what the rewards are for it, proportional to the time and labor invested. I only have a very small sample size, but from what I had seen, it definitely seems to be worth the time. And judging by the number of people who actually do this, I would wager that it is actually worth your time to make some extra money like this. So probably end up just farming here for a little bit, and I will meet you guys over at the auction house to talk about the next way to make some money. Alright, here I am at the auction house. Now it just occurred to me that if you are a free-to-play player and do not yet have Patreon, you actually can't sell on the auction house. You're going to need to purchase if I could get it up here, a auction license. I don't believe those are actually, you can't actually trade them, so you'll have to buy it on your own account. I know this is partially a anti-botting measure, so kudos to them for doing it. So you'll have to at least spend a little bit of real money, or otherwise, just purchase an Apex from another player to get some credits. A lot of people will often talk in trade chat asking to sell Apex in that instead of using the auction house. So you could use that to earn that, and as well as a few other nice little things. Unfortunately, there's an item called Apex, Clearfire Luna Gem Apex, so it makes it a little harder to just straight up search for it. Holy moly, there's a lot of these listed on the auction house. Page after page. There we go. Apex, that's what you need. 1,250 credits. So once you get one of those and consume it, you can then buy an auction license and be good to go. Or you could just buy a second one and get Patron. Either way. Definitely worth it, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But the auction house itself is a good way to make money. For one thing, it's a very labor-light way to make money, because retrieving the money from items you've sold off auction only costs 1 labor. It does cost labor, and it raises your commerce skill. But it's simply 1 labor, so that's kind of another incentive to maybe list things in slightly bigger groups other than just spam listing them for smaller amounts, because it does cost a little bit extra labor, and I do believe that labor is money. But largely what you're going to want to do here is search for opportunities to buy at a lower value and then sell at a higher value, or otherwise just be as frugal as you can. If you can't make money, you can at least save money by buying in bulk when you know you're going to use the stuff, when you have the cash to do so. You know, avoiding the traps that I was saying you should lay for other people, which is overpricing things in smaller quantities, if at all possible. If you have a good amount of money that you're just sitting on, that allows you a lot more freedom to purchase larger amounts of things and have more of your money tied up into, you know, inventory items rather than, you know, giving you the extra cash that you would otherwise have. So certainly a way to get a little bit of extra cash. Now, when you're doing this, I find doing this in the consumable and crafting tabs is the best. Those are the best places to do it. So what I usually will do is just click on consumables, hit search, and then sort by bid price. You can start to see some of the different values. Just sort of flipping through here, you can see what different things go for, and you can start to learn what the different prices are for certain things. And it actually works a little bit better if you go for you know, each individual category. So you can see like what the cheapest potions are to potentially buy. Now, I wouldn't advise buying 1,000 Mage's Vapor, but just browsing through here, even not sorting it, can just get you an idea of what prices things usually go for. So, you know, just taking a look at what everything actually costs. But the other way to actually make some good money off of this, to really truly earn, is to sort by time remaining. If you do this, and if you know what the prices of things are, you can actually catch some pretty good deals. Let me actually go back to the consumables tab here. If I just sort by time remaining, I can see here, actually look at these, 100 yellow lures for 5 gold, 20 silver, or 20 copper actually. Before I would make a bid on these, I'd want to make sure that these aren't somebody trying to scam you out of a better deal, so I'll just search straight up for yellow lures. Yellow lures, their price, sorted by the lowest, is about 10 silver per. So this might be somebody trying to be a little clever here. Looks like a lot of these have been disappearing, but even at 5 gold, 5 silver for that stack, that's not bad. So I'll put a bid in on that. Unfortunately, it got snagged up by somebody else, but that's just part of the game. It's what happens. Doesn't mean you should stop yourself from actually doing it. Yeah, here's obviously somebody also trying to scam. So you got to be very careful. Just because you see something that looks like it's a good deal, make sure you do your research first. You know, so when you search for something, get a good idea what their average price is that they're going for. And actually looks like there's even a jump up here to 13 silver each. And make sure that you're not getting ripped off by somebody who's trying to play the market in a different way. I'm not saying you can't or shouldn't do this yourself. What you can do is you can list something for a extravagant price, but make the bid price look appealing, and then people will often say, oh, this is a great deal. Like, look at this. These yellow lures are going for 8 gold each, and he only wants 7 silver. This guy messed up by listing a low bid price. Don't fall for that. You should be the one on the acting side of that scam rather than the receiving side of that scam. Because this is obviously either somebody typoed it or intentionally overpriced their product to try to lure people in. And when you're listing things, be very careful about what you're listing them for. You know, make sure when you put them in, look at the price and say, okay, that seems about right for that. Charcoal stabilizers go for about 90 silver to a gold each, so that's a pretty reasonable price. And make sure you set your starting bid, because if you list this, if I were to list this right here for only, this would be, I guess, 90 copper, somebody could put a bid in, and once somebody's bid on your auction, you can't pull it back down. So make sure that you set some sort of a bid price, either a bid price close to the starting bid to make sure that you're just advertising it as a buy it now, or if you want to actually accept bids, you know, whatever your bid price actually should be, whatever you feel like it could be. And like I said, the crafting section as well is another good place to potentially catch deals. You can even find deals in the weapon, armor, accessory sections, but they come up a little bit less frequently than other times. So yeah, some Starlight Archeum Dust coming up here pretty soon. Those are pretty cheap normally. Sunlight Archeum Dust here. Let's see how much the Sunlight Archeum Dust normally goes for. Sunlight Archeum Dust. Those seem to go for about 78 silver each. So if we search for these and sort them by time remaining, yeah, you can see somebody here is trying to play you off as a fool. This one not so much right here. This is somebody I think who made an actual mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and bid on this because 1 silver per Sunlight Archeum Dust is a phenomenal deal. So I'll come back and check on that in 3 hours if I'm still playing the game. And who knows, I might get lucky and just get that just as is, just from that little bid there. But if you do bid on something, you can check on it in your bid history. This will allow you to monitor anything that you've placed a bid in on it. Make sure you're keeping tabs on that. You can't get the exact value for when it's going to expire, but you can at least have a rough guess. Just keep checking on it as you happen to be by a auction house through your normal play, and who knows, you might catch some good deals. So that's pretty much all I had to say for today as far as how to actually make money. Sort of 3 ways to do it, playing the auction house, farming mobs, and doing some wild harvesting. I think those are all 3 excellent ways to make some extra cash. I still advise fishing, trade routes, all those other things that, of course, if you're lucky enough to own land, make sure you're working the land. Another thing that I'll probably cover in another video is planting things in unprotected areas and or harvesting things in unprotected areas. Certainly a potential way to make money, but I wanted to, I think, lump that with a sort of criminal activity guide. So I'll be working on that at some point. But just to finish off this video, I wanted to talk for a little bit. I'm actually just going to go ahead and hide in my house while I'm talking here. I want to talk a little bit about the theory of making money. If you're not interested in a little bit of sort of the backstory or psychology behind money making in a game, then I wouldn't blame you for clicking away. But if you want to know my philosophy when it comes to making money in the game, then go ahead and stick around, why don't you? So the way I see it, there's a few different metrics by which you can measure how much money you're actually making, or rather how satisfied you are with your income. For one, you can sort of look simply at ingredients out to ingredients in to product out. So you can look at something and say, wow, there's a 2 gold profit margin between the ingredients it takes to make something and the actual profit that earns me. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly measure that as a metric that you're using to gauge how profitable something is. So simply, look at your crafting list and, I'll just pick something here. Let's say tailoring. Fabric. Let's look at beautifully colored fabric. Just say, for example, that the materials for these on the auction house cost about 4 gold. Just as an example, and say they sell for 8 gold. That's a 4 gold profit margin. That's pretty good. I mean, you're technically doubling your money. Nothing wrong with looking at it that way. There's a few other ways you can look at it, though. You can say, okay, rather than looking at it this way, I'm going to look at how much money I earn per labor spent. So if this recipe earns me, say, 5 silver per labor spent, even if the profit margin itself isn't that great, if you're a labor-minded person, which I happen to be, that's actually a really good deal. I mean, it may take you more time. The amount of money you make proportional to the amount of money that you spend for the ingredients may not be as high. But if you're focused on the amount of labor that you have, which is truly one of the bottlenecks of playing this game and earning cash, this could be a phenomenal deal to make some extra cash and to really, put yourself in the perspective of how you're earning your money. And of course, the third option there is how much money am I making per time invested. So if you are a player who maybe doesn't play quite as much and you're a patron, so you have an excess of labor, labor's not an issue, you can look at something and say, okay, how much money am I going to make for the amount of time it takes to craft these things or to purchase and resell them or to farm them. So there's always an opportunity cost involved when it comes to making money in games and even really in real life. You have to look at it and say, what am I really truly spending? What out of the 3 aspects of crafting and making money in this game, between time, real world time invested, between labor invested, and between material cost invested, which of those 3 things am I most interested in keeping the most optimal? And you should judge all of the other products that you make, all of the actions that you make along those lines based on that axis. So again, I'm a very labor-minded person, so when I look for things to make me money, I want them to do it in the smallest amount of labor possible. I don't care if it costs a huge upfront investment. As long as I make a good amount of money per labor invested, that's a good deal for me. I don't care how much time it takes. I will happily walk I'll happily ride a trade cart from Falcorth Plains to Innister if that happens to be a very labor efficient way to make money from those trade packs. Fishing, for example, sport fishing is a very labor light way to make money. Yes, it takes 100 labor, but the profit margin between labor spent is ridiculous. I mean, some of the bigger fish, you'll be earning as much as 30 silver per labor you spend on something. That is a phenomenal amount of money to be earning for your labor. But like I said, it just depends on how you look at it. There's no one wrong or right way to make money in this game. Again, if if time is a concern, then go for things that are time light. Quick crafting recipes that net a maybe 2 gold profit, even if they are labor intensive. If you have a lot of labor to burn, just do it. And I mean, heck, you'll probably level up some skills while you're at it. It really just depends on what you want to do. One thing to also keep in mind is to really truly be able to monitor how you are earning profit. This is something that a lot of MMO players don't really focus on as well as they probably should. I've always struggled with this because it makes a lot of logical sense, but it's not really something that comes to mind very often. And just as an example, let's take a look at like a situation of growing something. So say there's a trade pack. Say there's a trade pack somewhere that will earn you 10 gold. Okay? If you turn it in, 10 gold. That's it. Flat amount. But the materials for that trade pack are 7 gold. So you have a 3 gold profit margin. I mean, that's okay, but it's not as much as you would really like to see. I mean, you can look at it and say, wow, those trade pack materials are really expensive. 7 gold? That's kind of ridiculous. And then you look into the seeds or whatever it would cost you to actually produce those. So, I will just say, say it uses lily seeds, or, it uses lilies. So you look at that and say, wow, lily seeds are super cheap. I should just grow my own lilies and save a bunch of money, and that way the profit margin will be much, much bigger. But that's not actually really how it works. The way it actually works is the act of growing the lilies is what earns you the extra money. So if it costs you, say, 1 gold worth of lily seeds to make 7 gold worth of lilies, that's where you're truly making that profit. You would almost be better off just selling the lilies for other people to buy them and then do the trade runs, rather than you just seeing it as a way that you're discounting yourself for that process. I mean, it's a little hard to sort of grasp, but it doesn't matter whether you spend the 7 gold for the trade pack on the auction house or grow them yourself. You're still spending 7 gold worth of lilies. It doesn't technically save you money in that aspect. It's more of a earning money from doing a better transaction, which is growing the lilies. So just keep that in mind, that you have to look at what you're making and say, okay, is this actually what's making me the money, or is it the process of producing the materials that I would use? There's also something to be said about diversifying yourself a little bit, where if you have lilies that you would like to sell, but maybe they don't sell super quickly in the auction house, then you could turn them into the trade pack and make your money back that way. So it's just important to understand where the actual profit is coming from. So if you're, just to use a more extreme example, if you're spending 8 gold to make 9 gold, whereas it only takes 1 gold to make that 8 gold, you're better off doing the 1-to-8 ratio. Sounds pretty obvious, but it shows up a lot more than you would think. Just remember that there's always a cost involved in anything that you do, and that simply growing something to then be used for something else doesn't necessarily save you money. Instead, it actually earns you money in a different way. And if you just keep that in mind, I think you can actually approach the economy in ArcheAge with a lot more of a fresh perspective and really learn quite a few things. So that's pretty much all I had to say for the video. Thanks for watching, as always. If you have any comments or other tips about how to make money, I would always love to hear them. In the meantime, have fun out there in ArcheAge.